Coming up at 6 on the Piedmont News Station, I'm Carter Coyle in Alamance County. What do libraries and healthcare have in common? This will be one place to help anyone interested in signing up for the new federal health insurance. The full story coming up.
I'm Charles Ewing in Greensboro, where research students are looking to replace petroleum products with something that's produced in this state in mass quantities.
And the holidays are approaching, and for many families, buying Christmas presents may not seem possible. The help that's available to make sure all children have something this holiday season. Good evening, and once again, thanks for watching the Piedmont News Station. Well, a little less than 6 hours to go, and the federal government's not any closer to preventing a shutdown. It's something that has lawmakers and President Obama pretty fired up, saying it'll have real consequences for real people. Now, a little less than an hour ago, we heard from President Obama following the Senate's rejection of a House budget plan. That plan called for a one-year delay in requiring individuals to buy health insurance under Obamacare. Well, the president's now accusing Republican lawmakers of trying to refight last year's election and health care battles from 2009 and 2010.
One faction of one party in one House of Congress in one branch of government doesn't get to shut down the entire government just to refight the results of an election.
Now, the president said he will veto any measure that includes changes to the Affordable Care Act. And if the shutdown happens, it'll be the first time since the mid-1990s. Well, with the government shutdown looming, a lot of people are wondering, how is it going to affect them? So here's a look at what will change if lawmakers indeed fail to reach some type of deal by midnight. 800,000 federal employees could be furloughed when the shutdown happens, with nearly half of the civilian defense workers out of work. People hoping to secure a government-backed mortgage will also have to wait. The Federal Housing Administration will not approve or underwrite any new loans without a budget agreement, and all national parks would likely be closed, along with the Smithsonian Museums and the National Zoo in Washington. Visitors using overnight campgrounds or other park facilities would be given 48 hours to leave. And I might add, and I just read this just a few seconds ago, as for the Blue Ridge Parkway, where many of you are going to look at the changing leaves, the roadway itself will remain open. The campgrounds will be closed should this shutdown happen. Well, as we wait to see what happens, there's a lot of finger pointing at Republicans and Democrats alike. Well, some people are just blaming everyone for what's happening.
Words fail me, really, that we've got ourselves in this kind of position where we can't compromise to the point we got to shut the government down.
Well, we just went through what will change, and for all of those changes, there are a number of things that will remain the same. First of all, Social Security, Medicare, and unemployment benefits will still be paid out. Active duty military will still receive their checks, but if the shutdown goes on for longer than a week, there could be a delay in payroll. The post office will continue to operate as normal. The agency does not depend on government funding to run its day-to-day operations. Well, at the center of the shutdown, the Affordable Care Act, a major part of which will go into effect tomorrow. Whether you agree with it or not, law says people who are uninsured must get some sort of health coverage by next year. FOX8's Carter Coyle joins us now live from downtown Greensboro. And Carter, I hear our local counties are getting ready to get a lot of questions about the new federal health insurance marketplace.
That's right, and that marketplace can be accessed online, and then you can decide if the plans on there are what you want to go with for your health insurance. Now, there are navigators throughout the state that are trained to help. For example, here at the Legal Aid Office at the Self-Help Building on Elm Street, they're ready to help out if you want to make an appointment. They've already made some appointments for tomorrow, but other counties are also asking for volunteers to step up and get certified so that they can help people when they're navigating this new marketplace system. With more than 1.5 million uninsured people in North Carolina, agencies all over the Triad are preparing to help people looking for health care coverage.
We have about 25,000 folks who are uninsured in Alamance County.
October 1st is the first day people can choose to enroll in the federal insurance marketplace. And Alamance Director of Social Services, Susan Osborne, says they'll need to consider several questions.
What are my healthcare costs, so that you can decide, do I want a higher premium and a lower deductible? Do I want to limit my out-of-pocket, or is it more important that my monthly premiums be lower? Those are the kinds of things that you have to know when you begin to navigate this.
There are trained navigators and counselors in every county. Even Alamance library workers are reading up on the Affordable Health Care Act.
The libraries are involved because we do have the public computers, and people come to us for information and for assistance with computers. So we knew that we would probably be seeing some folks who don't have that computer access at home, but now find themselves needing to get signed up.
Heather Holly Hall said they cannot advise people, tell them what plan to pick or whether to enroll in the marketplace or choose a private insurance company, but they can help navigate the online system and forms.
October 1st is not the end, it's the beginning of the process.
Everyone has until the end of next March to get coverage, and they hope to make the process easier. So some other questions that came up a lot today. If you're uninsured and low income, you might first, according to the experts we talked to, check to see if you're eligible for Medicaid, because that is a state insurance plan, and then you'd be covered under this federal mandate. If you already have insurance or you already have Medicaid, you don't have to change anything at this point. Now, you do need to know if you're going to choose one of those marketplace plans and you want coverage to start by the beginning of next year, you have to sign up by December 14th of this year. Live in Greensboro, Carter Coyle, Fox 8 News.
Thank you, Carter. Taking a look now, just how many people are uninsured healthcare-wise here in the Piedmont? As Carter mentioned, and according to the North Carolina Institute of Medicine, there are 20,000 people without health insurance in Alamance County, with 25,000 people uninsured in Davidson County. So we get to the bigger counties, 56,000 people in Forsyth County without insurance. In Guilford County, get this, it tops the list in the Piedmont and the state of North Carolina, with 79,000 people who are uninsured. Now to a developing story out of High Point. A special city council meeting called for this Thursday morning, and at that meeting, council members are set to talk about asking Mayor Bernita Sims to resign. Some council members feel Sims should step down due to her personal problems, which include back taxes owed. That has led to her wages being garnished. And new details this evening on a road rage case out of Davidson County. After months in jail, bond has been given to Derek Gribble. You may remember police arrested him after they say he stabbed Colton Johnson after a road rage incident. Happened back in May on South Main Street in Lexington. Investigators say the two got out of their cars and started fighting, and that's when Johnson was stabbed in the neck. Gribble's charged with first-degree murder. His bond has been set at $100,000. North Carolina's voter ID law making national news again today. A 32-page lawsuit was filed at the Federal District Courthouse in Greensboro by the United States Department of Justice. Civil rights groups are challenging North Carolina's law, saying it affects minorities because they're less likely to have voter IDs. In response to the lawsuit, Governor McCrory says, "I believe if showing a voter ID is good enough and fair enough for our own president in Illinois, then it's good enough for people here in North Carolina." Now, in the past, the governor has said the law protects the integrity of the voting process by curbing voter fraud. Well, today the governor also made a stop in the Piedmont, visiting the North Carolina Zoo in Randolph County. He was given a tour of the park along with learning more about the exhibits. And during that tour, he stopped by the Kids Zone along with the gorilla and elephant exhibits. And at the elephant overlook here, he talked with students from the Zoo School, which is a science and environment satellite operation of Asheboro High School. The governor also talked to us about privatizing the zoo.
I think the opportunities are more for public-private partnerships here at the zoo. For example, if we get a hotel here and look for ways that we can have public-private partnerships of investments right here on this property.
Well, the governor says the zoo brings in an estimated $150 million each year. Well, with the start of the new month tomorrow comes a new set of laws for North Carolina under a law signed by the governor back in July. Gun permit holders will be allowed to bring their guns onto public school and university campuses, but they must be kept locked inside their vehicles. Guns will also be allowed in bars and restaurants where alcohol is served, unless the business owner disagrees, and at playgrounds. Also going into effect tomorrow, the controversial bill requiring drug testing for welfare benefits that became law despite the governor's veto. That law requires people applying for assistance to pass drug tests. It also requires social services to notify police of any wanted person applying for benefits. Used tires are gaining traction at North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro with a special additive. Researchers say the old tires, roofing shingles, and old pavement can be suitable replacements, believe it or not, for traditional asphalt. Fox 8's Charles Ewing joins us now from Greensboro. Charles, why do these researchers want to replace asphalt, and what is this special additive needed?
Yeah, all the asphalt that we drive on and park on, just a bunch of rocks held together by a petroleum-based product. Researchers at A&T say we can replace the rocks with recycled tires and roofing shingles, and we can hold this material together with something you can find a lot of, especially in eastern North Carolina.
Material a lot softer.
The North Carolina A&T lab is filled with jars and buckets of reusable material like old tires and pavement and roofing shingles. Graduate student Daniel Odom says these materials can be used to make asphalt, but there's one problem.
And eventually cracks like this end up turning into potholes. So that's the biggest hindrance to using recycled materials like wrap and recycled shingles and chrome rubber tires.
Recycled material and traditional petroleum additives makes the pavement stiff and it cracks. So the A&T researchers found something else to hold the reusable material together.
The roads that we drive on are held together by petroleum-based products, and that got the researchers at A&T thinking. Instead of using something you have to refine, let's use something you can find a lot of, plus something you want to get rid of.
However, what we've developed here is a chemical additive based on swine manure development rather than petroleum-based, and we found that it has comparable results to petroleum-based.
That's right. Swine waste is a pretty good glue, and eastern North Carolina produces a lot of it.
We feel like if we can use that big issue and turn it into a solution, then it would be good for everybody, for the industry, for the people living around it, and the state in general.
Through trial and error, Odom and others have found that the right mix of swine manure and recycled material can be just as good as a traditional road. And the research is getting a lot of national and international attention.
There's a lot of buzz going on with this product, and we're hopefully, I mean, like I say, it started here, so it's very, very humbling to see it kind of spread out, you know.
And the bio base smells pretty bad when it's just by itself, but when you combine it with recycled tires and roofing shingles, the smell goes away. Now, the next step is an actual road test, and researchers plan to begin that part of the process next year. Live in Greensboro, Charles Ewing, Fox 8 News.
All right, the weather outside is great now, but we already see when the next front's coming. This is a map for Saturday morning, and you can see it's charging to the eastern seaboard. What's it going to bring us? We'll have that, plus we've got the pictures of the day from the mountains where we're starting to see some color. That and more next.
Notice the Christmas stuff already popping up in stores. Yeah, with the holidays getting here before we know it, you know, a lot of families trying to figure out how they can make sure their children don't have to go without this holiday season. Ahead, here on the Piedmont News Station, how you can make sure your children wear smiles this Christmas morning.